Welcome to NASPA Tonight.
This is all of your Scrabble news in 25 minutes or less.
I'm Josh Greenway.
I'm Jackson Smylie.
Let's talk about Scrabble.
The time starts right now.
So thank you for those of you tuning in. We're a little bit late tonight. Things have been a little bit nuts here. But we do have lots of Scrabble content for you.
So we're going to always, start off with tournament talk. But we have a pretty packed episode. We have a special guest, and we have two people that we're going to be talking about that aren't actually going to be appearing here. But if you know who they are, stay tuned. So we're going to start off with tournament talk. We had a pretty interesting result this last week. In fact, It was a clean sweep by one of us.
Yeah, we're back.
Audio's back.
So you went 4-0. I went 5-0 a couple of weeks ago. And now you've roared back,
taking the lead again. So
maybe by like one or something like that. So here we go. Were there any surprises here? I think you winning a tournament, that feels like a surprise.
Yeah, I've never won a tournament before. We both played Oshawa actually.
We did.
Yeah. Did you enjoy Oshawa?
Sure. It's not exactly a major tournament, right?
No, but
which is why I think.
You know.
Those are the kind of tournaments you tend to win. It was technically a multi-day.
But if it's a major tournament, I don't win. I come second. That's my thing. So the first tournament we're going to predict.
Well, before we get into predictions, is there anything else from Oshawa to talk about? You ran the table. You went 13-0.
I was 13-0.
We're Gibsonized, and then you dropped your last game because you didn't care.
I don't know. I got lazy, I guess. It was bad.
Right.
But I'm not going to let that happen next time. So Phil Waldron, you're never beating me again in the last round. I'm telling you that.
Meanwhile, I came in absolutely last place.
Jeez.
I don't know what happened. I had I don't want to blame anything. I just played terribly. But that's been my story at Oshawa. I think I've been there 4 or 5 times, and I either cash. I've never won one of the lower divisions, but I either cash or I come in dead last. So this was one of those times.
I have come in dead last in Oshawa before in your division, so I've been there.
The other thing that I think is interesting about Oshawa is it's a local tournament for us. It's close to Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's right. We decided a bunch of players we were going to get an Airbnb to make it feel more like a multi-day where you go there and you stay there. That's one of the most fun things about multi-day.
Exactly. And I was really into this. Like, I'll join this Airbnb. I'm so down. And then we found one. We booked it, or Josh booked it.
That's right.
And then a few days before the event, I was like, I'm going to have to bail. I'm sorry. So I did not get to enjoy the Airbnb. It seemed like fun, though. You had a good time?
Yeah, no, we had a good time for sure. And we got some video footage, which we're going to show later in this episode. Okay. Let's move on to predicting what's going to happen this week. Let's take a look at the tournaments that we are predicting. We have Manhattan coming up this week.
So we formatted this one slightly differently. As you see, this is not by rating. This is actually by head-to-head record of all of their games. So as you can see, Joel Sherman has the best head-to-head record against the field. And anybody except for a second. So just a kind of interesting way of reformatting a tournament, because it's kind of easy to go chalk every time.
Yeah. You didn't tell me we were going to do this. So, all right. So I'm taking the first pick here. And I don't know. I guess I'll take Joel Sherman.
Solid pick. He's won a few things before.
Yeah, well, and he's won a few tournaments recently, I feel like.
He has.
So I'll go Joel.
So I have to take the guy who's going to be 2,100 by the end of next year. So I got to take Cesar. He's on his road to 2,100, and he's barreling down this road, actually. He won Manhattan last time, so he's going to do it again. So I'm all in on Cesar.
Okay, let's move on to Ottawa. Now, this is a pub tournament.
It is.
This is being run by Jason and Sue. More teaser material here. This is Collins only. And here, let's look at the entire field there. So who do you like here?
I think Jeremy Hildebrand is a solid pick.
Right, you decided not to do this one and wins and losses.
No, I did not. As you can
tell. Okay, so I'm going to go here. You know what? I'm going to go Jason.
I think it's a good pick. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, Jason Broersma. Okay.
Last one
takes us to Eureka Springs. Where is this?
It's in Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yes.
Amazing.
So you got quite the collection of states represented. You got a lot of Oklahoma, but like really everyone from everywhere is going to this tournament. And I think that brings it back to me with the first pick.
No, it's me.
Oh, it is you?
Yeah, because you just picked Hildebrand.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Keep trying to duck in here.
So I'm going to go with Avery. Avery's burned me before.
Yeah.
Let's go, Avery.
I will take Mike Early. Seems like that's his closest competition.
Okay. So that is tournament talk for this week. We'll see who comes out triumphant next week. One of the things that we've talked about recently is the World Championships.
Yeah, just ended about a week ago.
That's right.
We have a somewhat new world champion, but semi-not new, Nigel Richards, as you all know. But we had quite a few people from North America who went out to Torquay in England and competed. And one of these people is the ever-famous Jason Keller, and we're going to invite him on right now.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
Hey, I'm all right. So you're down to like 3 minutes on the clock, right?
No. We still have a lot more content on our clock. We still have 18 minutes. Thanks everybody for hanging in.
If it were up to World's TD Amy Byrne, you'd be at 3 minutes.
Well, listen, sometimes we have a pretty good record for starting on time, I feel like. We just go long most of the time.
It's true, yeah. We're going to do the opposite today.
So, listen, there's one of the reasons that Jason is on is it was just your birthday, right?
Yes.
And when we did this, Jason was one of our earliest guests. So thank you for that, Jason. And you said at the time, if you guys can stand each other long enough to keep broadcasting together, then I want to come on my birthday week. And it was your birthday yesterday. What did you do for your birthday?
I worked.
Amazing. That's the dream.
No, I fit in one game of Scrabble Club today, but actually doing a little celebrating toward the end of the week.
Cool.
Very good.
So we actually had another birthday yesterday as well. As you may know, the infamous Dan Stock shares your birthday. And what's interesting is that you obviously are obsessed with orange. That's your thing. And Dan Stock is obsessed with purple.
Yes.
So the other thing is, we wanted to ask you, we want to see if you knew this little piece of trivia, because you're a trivia guy. Whose favorite color takes more hooks in Scrabble? That is your piece of trivia, and I want you to see if you can
explain that for the audience. What are you talking about?
So, what do you mean by that? And also, do you mean TWL? Because
come on, Jackson, explain yourself.
In TWL. So each of you are obsessed with a color, as you can see in this photo. And in Scrabble, a hook is obviously a letter that goes at the end of a word. And so your quiz right now, Jason, is which of these colors takes more hooks?
I mean, I think it's a wait.
In TWL.
I want to say that this is a trick question.
That is not the correct answer.
Well, regardless, we need an answer here, Jason.
Well, I would. Well,
there's two options.
Yeah.
How about the audience? Who do you think?
Orange takes more hooks.
You think orange takes more hooks? Like, what hooks can you think of for orange?
S.
Yes.
Collins, R and Y.
All right, R's and Collins. Unfortunately, you did not pick correctly. There was another option, which was purple, which was the correct answer.
And what are the purple hooks?
Purple hooks are D, R, and S. So remember that whenever you play a color. Purple takes everything.
Wait, is the D the front or the back hook?
It's the back hook for purple.
Purple.
R is the front hook. So anyways, we want to ask you, Jason, tell us about your time in Torquay. You had quite the tournament. Give us a bit of insight.
That's pretty open-ended.
Well, what did you think of the town? What did you think of the venue? Like, give us the overview first.
Great venue, first of all. The Riviera Center it was really a nice space. There was a lot of room to move around. It was a very quiet venue. You didn't have a lot of commotion going on. There was also lunch right across the hall. They actually set up concession for us. So it was really good concession. We were also right by Tor Abbey. which is a little like churchy sort of complex, and there was a tea house there as well. So a lot of good convenience. There were a lot of strong British players, obviously. There was a reasonable African contingent. Wellington Judera was there. Nigel, of course. And so it's a little bit more of a compact schedule because just 8 games on the first day and then 9 games, 3 days, and then you're done. A little bit of a roller coaster for me.
Yeah. How was your tournament?
Well, like I said, it was a little bit of a roller coaster. I mean, it was rocky at the start. Kind of got into a groove, then ran into a couple of bad beats along the way. Ran into just 2 games where I'm just like, I can't do anything here. Then got back into this groove where I just started beating people who I'd never won against before. And I'm sitting with 2 games ago. I'm sitting where ultimately, if I win either one of those games, I'm in. Let a phony go in the first game.
Oh.
And then the second game was one of those games that you want to kind of poke your eyes out with a fork, sort of game.
So it sounds like you did not quite make the quarters.
Did not quite make it. I mean, there's the part of me that says, actually, this Nationals as well as at Worlds, it was in both cases the first time that I've won 20 games.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, it's like, well, I want a little more.
I mean, who's ever satisfied?
Right.
One of the things this makes me think of is I interviewed Jason for a profile at Nationals that I can't remember whether it actually ran or not. That will show up on the NASPA YouTube page at some point. Anybody out there who hasn't checked it out should go to the NASPA YouTube page and subscribe. Go to YouTube and search for NASPA Scrabble. But it's a great little interview, and you talk about how you've developed your skill to the point where you feel like you can be a contender. And obviously, in this case, you came up just a little bit short. So I was definitely rooting for you in this matchup. But that was an answer that I always remember you giving that I really enjoyed.
You know what? And one thing, I felt the love. I even had some friends of mine who, from Crossword Dumb, who I've been nudging. I'm like, you can do this.
Right.
Some of them don't want to study 2-letter words, et cetera, et cetera. I really felt the love, and I got a couple. Actually, Jason Broersma messaged me and was like, go get it, and it was really cool to kind of feel. I also tried to do what I did with Nationals, which was that I just tried to stay really positive.
That's
because
great.
I feel like especially sometimes across the board when I see negativity, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I shouldn't emulate that.
So one question I have is, so Torquay is the town that Fawlty Towers is set in. It's one of my favorite shows. Is there any Fawlty Towers like action going on in Torquay? Are there any like monuments to the hotel?
Not that I saw.
Okay. I always wondered if it was like totally based on that.
There's not even anything that I saw that was like. And it's really funny. One of my tutoring students, his family is from London and from Ireland. And so it was really funny because when I mentioned that I was going to Torquay, he's like, oh, isn't that where Fawlty Towers is set?
Nice.
I'm just amazed that is one of your favorite shows, Jackson.
Yeah,
Who's your favorite character? Is it John Cleese or Basil?
I kind of I think Sybil's kind of cool.
All right.
I think she's funny.
All right. And just to tie a bow on this thing, Jason, you just missed the quarterfinals. So then what happens? A lot of people get concerned with playoffs, like, oh, they got eliminated from the playoffs. Now what's going to happen? It's useless, blah, blah, blah. What did you do? Go sit by the pool? What happens after that?
It was too cold. No, I was actually in the commentary room for the quarterfinals.
Nice.
So
that's great.
So I actually sort of brought us in for the quarterfinal matches and then was joined. We actually had a cadre, I guess you could say, of people who had been eliminated who were there doing commentary, and we only had 2 microphones, but so we switched off a bit. And so it was really an interesting experience. And I think it's one thing that I just love that I was able to, I feel like, drink from the fountain of knowledge, if you will, and kind of see what it takes to perhaps get up to the next level.
Interesting. I thought the answer was going to be you played in the what do they call it? The consolidation. What is it?
Yes, they did have a late bird or final fling.
Yeah. How many people play in that out of the people who didn't make the playoffs?
Well, so one thing that was interesting is that there were 2 divisions, and so it was combined from it was just an open event, but it was combined from the 2 divisions. There was incentive to play if you had played in the main event. I don't exactly remember how many people played. I remember that Marlon Prudencio and Joel Wapnick played for the win of that, and I think Marlon won. But I have very little recollection other than that.
All right, gotcha. And the other question when we're talking about Worlds is the next Worlds, or the next Westpac anyway, that is in Goa, India, right?
Yeah.
Is that on the agenda for you? Are you thinking about that? Or is it like...
I actually just said, put my name down on the list. We've got to think about a few things, but I'm going to try to, it also, I'm actually trying to get my work to send me to Bangkok for the King's Cup.
Oh, fantastic. Well, both of us are talking about maybe Thailand. So we could recreate this. I don't know what the internet is like in Thailand, but maybe we could do a live episode from there.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, Jason, for joining us. We didn't have any other trivia questions for Jason?
No, just the one tonight, but we'll get back to you.
But yes, because in Collins, orange does take an R.
I learned that tonight, yeah, so I won't forget that. Anyways, thanks so much for being on the show, as always. We're going to move on to our feature story of the night. We're going to be covering directors extraordinaire Jason Broersma and Sue Tremblay.
Yeah, now this is a little bit different. Normally what we do is we'll have people on when we want to talk to them and we'll interview them and stuff like that.
But these guys are too busy. Like
they're way too busy.
Like, you know,
and quite frankly, I don't think they have the internet connection to come on live because they live out in the country. They have this lovely home.
Yeah.
We've both been there. But yeah, that's what we wanted to cover tonight. So we thought that what we would do is we would talk a little bit and let them talk in their own words. So we wanted to start with this little video here where Jason provides an introduction for both of them. So watch this and enjoy, if you will.
I'm Jason Broersma. I've been playing tournament Scrabble for 15 years. I live in the Toronto area, out in Caledon, out in the country. I love playing Scrabble. I love running Scrabble tournaments, organizing Scrabble tournaments, pretty much anything Scrabble. I travel the world. I play Scrabble while I travel the world. I love jazz, good food, and Sue Tremblay. Well, this is my partner in crime, Sue Tremblay. She's playing competitive Scrabble for about as long as I have, probably about 15, 16 years. Originally from the Ottawa area, moved to Caledon when we got together, and we've been running and organizing tournaments together ever since. She loves to travel the world, loves to cook, makes great food, and is just a wonderful, wonderful person. There you go. There you go.
So there you go. That's a little intro to Jason Broersma and Sue Tremblay. If you've never played in one of their tournaments, their biggest one by far is the Niagara Falls tournament.
That's right.
Happening in June. You should definitely check it out. They do a very good job directing.
Yeah, that is the biggest non-nationals tournament pretty much every year for the last few. And it's only been running for like 4 so far. I think that's what it is. So it's really a fantastic tournament, and many of you that are watching have had a chance to play it. The interesting thing about Jason and Sue is how many events that they put on every year. So they do Niagara Falls. That's the big one. But they also do tournaments near their home in Caledon, and then social nightbirds, which we'll get into there. But then also they spend a lot of time going to Ottawa. So Sue hails from Ottawa and used to run the club there. So they now run the annual Ottawa tournament, Labor Day tournament. But they also go out there. We predicted one of their tournaments, which was like a pub tournament. So they're going out there and they're really promoting Collins is what's going on.
It's cool because most directors only ever run in their area, but they really promote in all over Ontario, which is really cool. So what do you think your favorite thing about their style of directing is, Josh?
Well, I certainly think that I would say that the way they're able to do Niagara Falls, it really gives you the feeling of one of these very large tournaments. I think people who go to that and have been to nationals or worlds would see some things that they're able to recognize. And what's really interesting is if you look at their player to staff ratio, it's much more efficient than those larger tournaments. So they're putting up, 200 people, and they're running it with a staff of four, five, really something like that. So that's one of my favorite things. It's just what they're able to pull off without it being, one of these
big productions.
It's interesting. I was talking with a Scrabble friend of mine today, a friend of both of ours. Shout out to Shashi Policy. And I always ask him every year, "You going to nationals?" And sometimes he says yes, sometimes he says no. But his take on nationals is, I don't even understand nationals. It's so different than what normal tournaments are like because it's organized in a completely different way. So here's an example, and what he means by that is most tournaments are organized by individuals. Nationals, there's obviously a committee, there's extra funding, stuff like that, right? So the experiences are very different. Nationals, you get a bit of a feel of the same thing.
That's true. And
what's your favorite thing?
That's a good question. I would probably say they create this atmosphere at their tournaments that I think is a very competitive atmosphere, and they are very much to the point. They're not futzing around with long announcements or anything. They are very clear. Their goal is to have a competitive atmosphere, and they want everyone to have a good time there. And I think they're really good at creating exactly what kind of atmosphere they want. And one of the things they do to create this atmosphere is they have a policy. I will show you a video right now to let you get to know.
That's right. So their famous policy is and you may have heard it before, is the no shushing policy. So here's Jason to tell us about that policy.
All right. Well, Sue and I have the no shushing policy, which is popular, I think, with a lot of players, but not all. We instituted this because when I walk by a room of people, and I'm talking about as a member of the public, and if I were to witness some of the behaviors that I see at Scrabble tournaments where people are yelling, screaming, quiet at each other, shushing other people, I ask myself, as a member of the public, would I want to attend that activity? Would I want to go into that room? Would I want to participate in what they're doing? Absolutely not. I find it's an extremely offensive and negative behavior, which is why we brought in the no shushing policy. Now, the no shushing policy does require you to have everyone sort of buy in to that idea that, you still need to be respectful so that people can play their games and that sort of thing. But we are going to not shush.
So that's an explanation of the no shushing policy. Players aren't allowed to shush each other, and he's just explained why. Not everybody is a fan. So we found one of these people.
This might be the most famous shusher, I think, in all of Scrabble.
It's possible. So we did get some pushback on the no shushing policy, and here to explain her thoughts is Mad Palazzo.
So Jason and Sue's no shushing policy, I think it's good and it's bad. I like it because it makes it friendly, but it's bad because I know myself, I like to kind of be a little bit quieter when I'm playing, and sometimes it gets a little too loud, but I understand the idea that it's supposed to be a friendly and fun tournament. Quiet!
So there we go. That's a little pushback on the no shushing policy. So yeah, that's one of the things that contributes to the atmosphere. I think the elephant in the room that we haven't really talked about yet is obviously we talked about how they promote call-ins, but we've got Niagara Falls coming up this year, and it's going to be call-ins only, right?
Yeah, so I think this was actually something that was contentious between Jason and Sue. As far as I know, Sue wanted to keep both lexicons available, and Jason wanted to kind of move forward and get call-ins off the table. And it was surprising to me because I remember about 3 years ago, maybe even 4, Jason was telling me that he wanted Niagara Falls to be the International Scrabble Open, and he wanted to be call-ins only from the get-go. So for my vantage point, I'm surprised it's taken so long to become call-ins only. That being said, most people expect it to offer TWL every year. So a lot of people are like outraged and they're going to boycott and everything. It's become this whole thing. There's like a movement about it. But I think it's like, they can do what they want to do. Jason
and as
they're going to get fewer people.
As Jason says, it's one tournament in the year.
Yeah.
They also don't like putting on a 200-person tournament is certainly taxing. So I think they're looking at it as a chance to sort of contract but then maybe expand later.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is it really underlines what Jason's and both of theirs, to be fair, what their position is on Collins versus TWL. They're always trying to bring people over to the Collins side, and that's that we've talked about that during our controversial show series, and that can be a contentious issue. So we wanted to ask Jason to really explain what his policy is when it comes to Collins. So that's what we're going to show you right now.
Well, my main philosophy is that I want to have unity in the Scrabble community. Most of you know that we play predominantly TWL in North America, and now we have Collins divisions, but the rest of the world plays Collins. And what I would really like to see is all of us playing Collins together so that we can travel anywhere we want in the world. People from the world can come here and feel comfortable in playing our tournaments. So some of the things that we do is we run Collins tournaments at our home. You might have heard about the social Nightbird. It turns into a real fun thing. Other things that we do, we give deep discounts to people who have never played in a Collins tournament, depending on the situation. Sometimes I can free roll them. Sometimes I can cut their entry fee in half. Sue and I take this show on the road. We go to places where there wasn't much Collins before and build a scene. Ottawa is a prime example, which has gone Collins heavy now as a result of the pub tournaments that we run there. And generally just do anything that we can to encourage Collins play in an effort to get to the goal where we can have world unity.
It's a pretty noble goal.
Sure, absolutely. Get us all playing together. He had some other comments, so we sort of ran out of time in terms of editing that video. But he talked about how getting the best players all in one lexicon, because that's where we see the real split happening, is at the elite level, where a lot of elite players have moved over to Collins. Some are sticking around until they, who knows, maybe win a nationals. Dream on, but we'll see where that goes. But that's sort of what his vision for Collins is.
Yeah, I am in support of that vision. It's a good vision. World unity would be great in many ways, even above Scrabble. Even though Scrabble is definitely the most important way to be unified in this world. That's what I agree on.
Well, we can do a whole show about lexicons. I can give you my thoughts about lexicons, but I don't think anybody wants to hear that. Jason did bring up in that video the social Nightbird.
Yeah, those are the best. Like, if you haven't played those, definitely come to Caledon. Basically just a Scrabble party, like a real party. Music's playing, hot tub is going, Collins games are being played left and right, That's right. I went to the Collins social Nightbird a few weeks ago, but I didn't play. I just went there to hang out. I wanted you to play.
That wasn't going to happen. Okay, now we've got one more video here where Jason described what goes on at the hot tub.
What I think is special about this sort of tournament is we get to have some of our best friends in Scrabble all come to our home. Sue loves to cook, so she makes lots of food. We order in pizzas. There's beer, there's wine. People are drinking and eating while they play. There's music playing in the background. Usually it's jazz, and then sometimes it switches over to rock and roll. People are generally being noisy and loud, but it's a very positive atmosphere. So we love having people over, and it's a really nice way to do a tournament. We do a really exciting bracket format, something that we can't do in other places, so that's a cool thing. And then the other thing that we have, of course, at the end is the giant hot tub party where everyone just gets absolutely crazy and things go nuts. So we love doing it. And unfortunately, we only get to do that about twice a year, the Caledon Nightbirds. But one day you might be able to convince Sue to run a third.
So there you go. That's a little taste of what their Caledon social Nightbirds are like. And depending on the number of people who stay over there, like there are couches and people sleep on the floor and there are multiple bedrooms and whatever. And if you don't play Collins there, you might end up sleeping in a chair.
Yeah, they have a doghouse out back for all the TVO players. Yeah, I think I slept on the floor of Jason and Sue's bedroom this time. So
Right.
I'm trying to get every room in the house. That's my goal. It's like a bucket list.
So anything else to talk about with Jason and Sue?
I think you guys shall check them out. Check out their tournaments. They are awesome people and awesome directors.
And they really bring something special to the community. And and they were very generous with their time in terms of talking through some of those things.
Yeah. So this brings us to our final segment, your favorite segment, our favorite segment. It is Scrabble birthdays. We
That's
are 5
right.
minutes over, but Scrabble birthdays are too
We can't miss the Scrabble birthdays. So here's what we want to do. We want to wish the following people. First of all, thank you everybody for watching. You can see us live every week at this time. We're going to be back next week with an all new topic. We don't know what that topic is yet. And if you want to catch up on back episodes, you can do that on the NASPA YouTube page. Search for NASPA Scrabble. We appreciate every last one of you for commenting and just watching. But who we especially appreciate is our Scrabble birthday
people
babies.
who are now older.
So here we go. Here's the list of people who got 1 year older this week. It's quite a list this week, Jackson. We've got Nigel Pelletier, Richard Landau, Andy T. Huang. We've got Jack Norman, Conrad Bassett Bouchard. It was his birthday. Joyce Stock, Dan Stock, both this week.
They're twins.
Jennifer DeWalsh, Jason Keller, of course, and today, Dan Blake.
Happy birthday to all of you Scrabblers, and thank you everyone for tuning in to this week's episode. We'll catch you next Tuesday.
That's right. And go out there and play tournaments. Directors are working hard so you can have a good time. Good night, everybody.